Hello and welcome to our special Thought Leadership Show. From insights to impact, how Occitana is shaping the future of recognition and employee experience. This is brought to you by ETHRWorld and Occitana. In today's world of hybrid teams, evolving work cultures, and rising employee expectations, organizations are rethinking how exactly they're motivating their employees. Beyond perks or paychecks, it's the feeling of being appreciated, it's the feeling of being valued, and that of being recognized. And this is what makes all the difference. Occitana has been a global leader in helping companies build thriving cultures through the science and art of recognition. And today, we'll be diving deep into how organizations are evolving when it comes to recognition, how research and innovation are shaping the employee experience, and what the future looks for people first organizations. Joining me today are very special guests for this discussion. Please join me in welcoming David Hilton, who's the Chief Product Officer at Occitana. And we also have with us Zubin Zack, who's the Managing Director for the IMEA region at Occitana. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, welcome. You bet.
Thank you. Truly appreciate your time. And let's get right into it. David, I'd love to start off. Occitana's work is deeply grounded in research. You have your annual reports, I believe. That's one of them right here on this table. You have constant studies. I'd love to know how that research ties in with product innovation and what's the process of turning insights into features.
Yeah, it's a great question.
Thanks.
Actually, that's something that I think OC Tanner has been known for is actually the deep research and the intellectual property that uncovers for us. Every year, we survey, we interview, we talk with thousands of people all over the world that really inform that research that tell us how do we create an impact in culture through recognition, and how can culture or how can recognition become part of your way of being and that fabric of the culture that truly leads to results. I think it's through that research. In fact, that's a foundational pillar for us in innovation is everything must be research led. Research is what tells you how to create impact. And if you can build that into your solutions, into the products, that's where your products and solutions will actually create that same type of impact that people will want to use, they'll want to be a part of. And engagement just comes when it's creating that type of difference and that impact that's out there.
Right. And could you share a specific example with us where research led to a specific product innovation or feature?
You bet. I'd be happy to. In fact, it's one of our pillars that we require. Everything we develop and create must be founded in research. Technology today, you can build just about anything, but you want to build something that works and something that's going to help move cultures forward. A recent example, about a year ago, we launched what's called the Recognition Coach. And really what that is, that's powered by AI. And it's a coach that has, with 100 years of history and over 100 million recognition experiences and data points, we've been able to see what creates impactful connections and meaningful recognition that does bring results. And so through that research, we've been able to train some AI models that actually will help users craft the exact recognition experience that they're looking for to create that impact. So it's a coach, it's an assistant that AI will serve up these millions of data points that help with that. I think another example that I love is we've done some studies to understand what creates the most impact from recognition. And what we found is that recognition from a manager and recognition from a client are what impacts people the most. And of course, we've been super strong at recognition from managers, but recognition from clients was something we felt like we need to add. And so that data point led us to a new, what I would call product of Say Thanks, which is what actually allows clients to participate in the same recognition program that employees of the organization would participate in. And what we found in doing that is that not only brings in that powerful impact, but even more than that, when you add the multiplying effect, when you recognize for day to day and anniversary and extra effort, when you bring in that client impact, you actually see a 10x improvement on employee engagement simply by bringing in that client voice. I would say that it's those data points that help us create features and products that make a difference in organizations to where it can become the fabric of that culture.
Oh, that's fantastic. And two very great examples there. Recognition from clients and also how you're using AI to fuel
Yeah.
the future of recognition. Thank you for that, David.
Yeah.
And Zubin, I'd love to hear from you, about how usually we see recognition as a nice to have, and people think this could be perhaps good for my employees, but they are unable to tie it to tangible business outcomes. Could you tell us how exactly employee recognition can lead to better retention, to better employee engagement, and how it can actually strengthen organizations?
Yeah, thanks for that. I think uh, it's perceived to be nice to have, or things are changing now. Obviously, earlier it was a nice to have thing, but even if it doesn't matter on the perception, because in reality it just exists. So, lack of recognition or recognition is defining or playing a role in how culture gets defined in organizations. And the way we look at it is that you either measure, like you said, the impact that we have on our customers. You either measure it on cultural nuances, where you're moving the needle and where what behaviors are getting defined, and that's by you measure what recognition moments are defining, what behaviors get amplified, and the rest of the company see it. Or you could even have a measure of how employees are feeling, and you could do that through surveys. So there are companies who are able to get the needle moving on certain parameters, which could be how employees are feeling seen, are they feeling valued, and you're really seeing if that is really having a qualitative impact on the organization. And of course, like you said, on business parameters, it could be on attrition, it could be on when job rotations happen, how seamless those transitions are, how successful those transitions are. So there are various other parameters that they look at when it comes to defining any business outcome. So it's more on, first the client needs to define why they want to take up this program, or how intentionally they want to design the framework so that they can meet those outcomes. So
So,
depending on the client, it's hyper personalized.
right. So, are you telling me that employee recognition doesn't just help an employee feel seen, valued, and appreciated, but actually can strengthen the fabric of the entire organization?
it could it for sure strengthens it, depending on if it's good or bad, and that's what the company
Hmm.
wants. But it amplifies it, it can
Mhm.
accelerate it, because at the end of the day, there are few things, right? Recognition is elevating or amplifying a certain behavior that you as a company stand for. So if I'm recognizing David here, then I'm putting him up on the pedestal for everyone to see, and I say that he's shown hard work, he's aligned to the company or the
Mhm.
business values that we as a company stand for.
Mhm.
And when I talk about those behaviors and recognize him, that's what everyone around him is seeing, and they say, okay, this is what we as a company stand for. So
Mhm.
it's acting as a communication tool, what got decided in the boardroom, and now
Right.
recognition is taking it to the lunchroom, or right to the level down there where everyone's seeing what we stand. So what it's doing, it's defining,
Right.
and it could redefine. So if you want to change your culture, you want to be known for something else, then like a company who wants to get aggressive on innovation,
Mhm.
you could actually start recognizing moments where innovation
Mhm.
happens, or there is risk taking ability. You could be failing at certain aspects of innovation, but you're encouraging those behaviors. And once you start encouraging those behaviors, you create that psychological safety for people to try it even more, because they know that we as a company stand for that. So it defines, it accelerates, it amplifies, depending on how you want to use
Mhm.
recognition as a tool.
Well, that's truly insightful. I never thought of it as a reinforcement tool, but the way you phrased it, it's clear that, if there are some behaviors you would want employees to emulate, and this is definitely a great leadership strategy to drive that through recognition, indeed. Thanks for that, Zubin. And David, I'll come back to innovation with you. You Occitana, you are constantly listening to your clients, and it's not a monologue, it's a conversation with them. So, how do you incorporate this client feedback when it comes
Mhm.
to product innovation?
I love that question. It's probably one of my favorite things to talk about is bringing in the clients and bringing in their voice. Innovation can't actually happen without it. You must have the clients in the middle of innovation, in the center of that. It starts. We talked earlier about the research. That's one of the ways we bring in that client voice, their users, how some of that works. But even beyond that, we have what we call a client advisory committee, which consists of 20 clients all over the world that come together. We actually meet live twice a year. That's a couple of day get together where we talk about product innovation. We talk about the things that are working well within their culture and things that aren't working well, and how we can help to either change or modify or create new things that they're looking for or needing. And that's a super strong input for us. Another great input is that same committee. We actually meet every single month, and that's usually done remote via Zoom or Teams. And what's been great about that is that allows us as product innovators to bring them solutions based off of their feedback. But to have them have a test run with it. Is that going to work? Is that not going to work? So it really creates a almost co-creation a type of environment. Some of the favorite activities I like to get involved in are things when we're actually doing in-field work. Whether you're an airline and you're working with the people who they classify as below wing, or whether you're, with freight deliverers, you're in the truck with them. Or whether you're on site in a banking facility, seeing how their culture works and understanding how would recognition actually work in those spaces is where I would say we discover what's called latent requirements, where they can't necessarily even articulate it, but because you're in that environment, you see it and you're able to bring that into your innovation efforts. Of course, some of the baselines that we have used for a number of years. We've got terrific client success teams, terrific sales teams that are always interacting with clients. Anytime they have a suggestion, anytime they have a feedback that they receive from clients, that actually goes into what we call a product database that we have at OC Tanner. That database is full of those ideas that our product managers are constantly looking at, evaluating it, seeing what those themes are, and figuring out where do we take that next, and where do some of those things go. If you think about OC Tanner, we are 100 years old. And you don't get to be 100 years without constant innovation. I would say that's one of our strengths. And I think that's a strength because we lean so deeply into our clients. In fact, if you think about the way day-to-day or performance recognition is handled today, that actually started with a partnership with OC Tanner and Compact Computer, which then became HP. But it was building together something they saw a need in. And now that has kind of become the market standard, but led from those client innovations is where that comes from. So I don't know how you innovate without bringing in that client voice and aligning that with the data. And I think that's where those become two foundational pillars for us in any innovation effort that we make.
It sounds like you had some very rich data. Then I didn't know about the rich history of OC Tanner either. That sounds like something I must go back and look into, and an interesting tidbit about HP there. You were talking about some local cultural nuances and how you
Uh,
pick up on that by actually spending time there. Now, how important is it to weave that into what you do into your products? And also, it must differ from region to region, and you operate in such varied regions. How do you account for that? And are there different products for different regions?
it's essential that we have that. We call it global adaptability, and really what that means is the ability to adapt toward a unique culture. That can be at just even an organization, a workplace itself, but then even within that workplace, they're all over the world most of the time. And so, how do you adapt to those very specific needs? A couple of ways we do that. You mentioned it by being in market and understanding that. In addition to the client advisory committee that I mentioned, we also have a global advisory committee. And that global advisory committee consists of people who are in market every day. So when we're testing products and we're bringing products out, that's always a step in the process is what needs to be changed or modified, or how will this be viewed in this particular area of the world, or in this country, or through this lens. So that's an important piece. The other thing that I've had the opportunity to be a part of that I love is focus groups in various different countries. So one that I remember specifically here in India actually was here in Mumbai. We were talking with client users and also just users that weren't clients, trying to understand kind of what those local nuances are. One of the things that we heard loud and clear was in India in particular, they wanted to have a certificate. They call that part of their credentials. So understanding that and hearing employees talk about how important those certificates were, it led to the development of what we call an e-certificate. So with every award comes an electronic certificate that employees, not just in India, but anybody who wants that can take advantage of that. But it's fit for purpose for India based off of those learnings that we received in Mumbai. So I think those global nuances are essential. And I think that's, again, how you build a foundation that works for all companies, but also specifically for where they're located throughout the world.
Wow, I feel India is such is very big on qualification, so it really makes sense that they would want a
Absolutely.
piece of
Yeah.
paper testing
And
that.
that's what we heard.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what we heard.
yeah.
Just to build on that, I think I think maybe a culture, we need that validation, and I think it's good to kind of have something.
Yeah.
The other one, which came a few years ago, came up in the research, also spoke about how one of the few countries was that a super boss, like a boss's boss, being a part of the recognition moment or validating really gives a high.
Right.
And even when you join an organization and employees introduce, their structure to their families, etc. There's always an ask as to, who said what. I remember the first time when I got the yearbook, that's one of our products. And in the yearbook was a mention from all the people. And my wife knew of them and knew so much about them. They had not yet met everyone, but she wanted to know like what other people are saying, and how we crowdsourced all the comments and the experiences. So it does, that's something which India as a culture would thrive at, for example. So that gets embedded on one more. You spoke about global adaptability,
Right.
and I call it glocalization, where you think global but you build local. And we've seen one of the API integrations, which is like just a standard day-to-day product and feature and availability today we have, was initiated from one of the asks of a customer in India, which we then developed and took to the world. So there are things which come primarily. I think one of the ones is jugaad, as it's in the dictionary, I got to know. So ingenuity in just making things happen with limited resources. I think that's played a role in the way we've come up with asks which our customers have. We are tough customers by itself. We want things done yesterday, and we don't want to pay anything for it. So that's which is come up as one of the key features. And our teams, the client success teams, they connect regularly with our clients, and their feedback, this measurement, when we do surveys to measure the satisfaction of customers, we do capture feedback, and then it goes up and it's all put together, and that's helping with the innovation and the development process.
That's so interesting to hear about how India is driving all the innovation and where it's coming from, right? When you hire an individual in India, just like when you marry them, it's not just them, it's like the entire family. So I feel, that makes sense that you would want to make the family also part of the organization by way of having this yearbook and having that
Oh, yes.
information accessible to them, so they also feel a sense of belonging, or the fact that it's a function of numbers, so necessity is the mother of invention. So, that's another reason why so much of it is driven from a need basis here. That actually leads me to my next question. The HR tech space has completely exploded. There are so many competitors right now, and it's a booming space. But despite that, you at Oceana continue to have some of the biggest global and regional clients. How do you manage to do that?
One of the differentiators which stands out is our philosophy. And what and this is one of the reasons. Now this is my 11th year at Oceana, and I always tell people that we are good people to work with. And that's the single most important reason that, our clients and prospects continue to work with us, because we know the intent with which we are moving forward. We are privately held. We don't necessarily have um, pressures of doing something short term. We are long term focused. We have an evergreen company. By the way we are structured, that itself allows us to think forward, think long term, and do what is right for the customer. And in the day to day operations, no one's perfect. We are not perfect, but the customers see that. And I think I know of one customer we are speaking. It's been with us for over 65 years, or we couldn't even know when the relationship started. But I think the philosophy, the way we are structured, is it's a blessing to be in, because the employees themselves are now thinking long term. They know they are not under pressure to do short term gimmicks to win business. We are not venture capitalist funded, so we are not trying to get top line at any cost. So those are things which actually put us in a very comfortable position, and therefore no one can compete on that. And customers, when they come on board, they know they're coming with us for long term, and they know they are good partners to have. I think the other one is that the visible, it's not us who are saying it, it's the third party which says it. So we have analysts across the globe and different continents. With IDC, we have the Everest Group, we have Fosway from different continents, who have mentioned, and it's been out there consistently over the years, which talk that we're leader in the space. So it's not about us trying to sell and make it happen, but now we have analysts and data points and research which is saying that, okay, we are up there, not perfect, but up there. We're making progress. We're trying really hard. So I think these things are visible. And I think the way the stand we've taken is that it's human first, right? It's what are we trying to do? I think it's just a standard. Like, recognition is just a leadership style. You don't really have to go out of the way to make it happen, because if you treat it like an initiative, you're trying to drive it. Let's drive the program. Let's drive the utilization. Then these are short-lived initiatives and interventions you're trying to do, and they could disappear, and you've not really changed the culture. It has to be leader driven. It has to come from within. And I think once they know that that's where we start off with, that we need to make employees feel valued, appreciated, seen. You need to make it a part of the culture. It's a culture of appreciation, not just recognition. That's a big difference. We'd love to have a conversation on that sometime. So I think those things make us different, because we're starting at the right place. We're structured the right way. We're looking long term. And of course, the products and services we embed. So we're looking at a holistic approach. It's not only tech. We're looking at offline. We're looking at listening tools which are embedded to capture data points and go back. So it's actually a 360 degree approach and a holistic approach to integrated recognition. So I think these few things really consistently just not only allow us to get better, but it's very visible to the kind of people the clients want to work with.
Sure.
Matt, would that be okay? We talked about the global leadership and the market space. The only I would add to that was we deliver results, and I think they're measurable results. I talked to you earlier about the Say Thanks new offering, that you get a 10x improvement on engagement. That's real ROI when it comes
10x
to
improvement.
correct. The other thing that I would just say is, we for many large organizations, we can see that we've reduced burnout by 81%, or we have improved client connection, or excuse me, employee connection to the organization by 5x, or the feeling of employees feeling included by 11x. And so when you have those type of results, that's where I think that leadership comes from. That's recognized not just by the market share, the clients and the prestigious clients that we get to partner with, but also by those third-party analysts and firms that Zubin mentioned as well.
All right. So I think you retain these clients by way of not just the excellent work that you do, but also the fact that it's attested to by a lot of these third parties and other
Correct.
lists which you're topping currently. So congratulations on that. And that brings me to my last question, which is about the future. So I want you to look into your crystal ball and tell me, what do you think will be the future of employee recognition and appreciation and employee experience? And also, what are OC Tanner's plans for the coming perhaps for the coming decade, the next 5 years? You tell me when it comes to improving what you're already doing so well.
So I think, when I think about where recognition and culture building tools are going, it's really moving from transaction to transformation. It's essential in building that fabric, building those cultures, helping to improve retention, the quality of work, the connection, all of that's there. But specifically where we're focused in our innovation effort is certainly leaning on the clients, leaning on the research that we've talked about, and letting that inform. But very key areas. One is AI, and making sure that we often talk about AI inside or AI first, but we don't want AI to be there to eliminate the human connection. We want it to be there to enhance the human connection. And so we're taking maybe a little bit different approach with that. But AI is at the center of some of the things that we're doing and providing insights in unique ways that haven't been able to be done before, which is super fun. Another big focus of us at OC Tanner is we want to be in the flow of work. What that really means is we want to be integrated so deeply within the tools that teammates, that employees are using. Sometimes that's technology. Sometimes that's the easiest way to do it, to integrate within various tools that they're using. But the other way we integrate is by being in their space of work. Not everybody is at a computer. And so how do you do that in ways that works with the technology, but doesn't have to manifest itself all in the technology? So that's a big area of emphasis. In fact, we have found that in our research, but also validated by WTW, that it is 80% of the workforce that actually is not at a computer all day. And so how do we help that large population be able to take advantage of some of those tools? So AI integration. The other thing that I think is really unique about the space that we're in is marrying the digital tools with the physical. And so it's not just about digital badging, or not just about digital components of that, but it really is about the physical component. Various different keepsakes that are symbolic, that mean something, that travel with that technology. And that's something that is, I think, super unique. And then we've talked about this, but just that continued focus on, we like to think of ourselves, OC Tanner, as we want to be one of a kind, both for the individual, for the company, and globally adaptable. Because we feel like when that comes together, that's really where we can create that personalized experience for the individual. And I think those things are actually what make us the world's most complete culture partner out there.
Okay, so I think you are striving towards a seamless experience, which is even easier than what you currently have, where you're just a part of your employees' day-to-day life, not just digitally, but in a phygital sense. So you really are innovating for the future there. And Zubin, would love to hear from you.
Yeah, sure. First is, I think, uh, when David speaks, he's kind of defining the industry by itself, right? Because I think he's leading with uh, the new stuff which is coming out and defining what the industry looks like. So he's kind of already mentioned what uh, the next 5 years could look like, or next 2 years could look like. I think the last point which he said, that we're looking at a complete culture ecosystem, I think it's companies are going to buy differently. So the transformation from transactional to becoming a transformational intervention, or designing culture by intent, having an intentional culture design program or framework, etc. So I think that's going to change. People won't look at recognition by itself. They're going to go out there to say that, okay, what are the ways in which I can create a ecosystem which will attract, retain employees, grow employees, and develop employees, so on and so forth. And I think they will find out that the experience the employee has through its complete employee life cycle are touch points that we can play a role with. So it's just not going to be recognition. It could be life moments. It could be other areas. So I think the purchase or the need, the word recognition could dissolve into people ecosystem, cultural ecosystem, or whatever. So that's one thing where they're going to look at it differently. They earlier looked at it as recognition, but I think recognition has to be natural. And now people are picking it up. It's becoming like a commodity which exists in most companies, and now they need to make sense of it. So I think one area is there. I think for sure we can define how it will be done, recognition, or how will we transfer that moment of appreciation to another individual, or use it as a communication tool to pass a few good words to the individual. I think what we cannot guarantee, or what I don't have a crystal ball on, is the medium through which it will happen. So the medium is something, or the technology is something which will define how it is. What I last heard that we may not have apps, we may not have, and I like that we're going to be in the flow of work, so we don't have to stress about apps being there, not being there, and it could be just a device which allows you to interact with AI, and there's no specific app, because I can get the work of all the apps today through one AI or an agent or whatever. So it could evolve into that. I have no clue on that aspect. But I think what will stay consistent, or what will not move, the needle won't move on, is for putting the employee at the center of all of this. And I think that is what we are so lucky. Like I said, we are in that place where OC Tanner starts, because even the research which they mentioned and all that we do is from the employee's eyes. It's from looking at it from the employee's perspective. So they will remain at the center of anything which happens for any company, because they're going to drive the company forward, and we need to take care of the resource the best way we can. So I think the mediums will change. No guarantee and no crystal ball there, but I think our focus of it being human centered will always stay. AI, no AI, doesn't matter.
Great news to know that organizations will continue and even more so become people centric in the years to come. And you're absolutely right about the medium. The medium could perhaps be only screens or no screens at all. We don't know how the future is going to look, but it's clear that the employee experience and the employee
Right.
is right at the center
For sure.
of it. Thank you so much for looking into that crystal ball and giving us your predictions. It's been great being in conversation with the two of you,
Thank you.
from the sort of innovation that you are doing to how exactly it's driving results. You haven't shared those results with us. Employee engagement increasing by 10x, 11x, I'm sure more in some other cases. And Zubin, thanks for also talking to us about how you're tying it in with tangible ROI, or how the employee culture and your organizational culture is being transformed by way of recognition and appreciation. And we will have that conversation about the difference between the two. It's been very insightful indeed. And thank you so much for joining us on this conversation today, and on this journey of employee recognition, appreciation, and experience. Until next time, this is Shilpa Rattan signing off. And until then, remember to keep recognizing what matters.